So, it's been a while since I've driven an Audi. Let's fix that. This particular Audi belongs to a friend of mine, Jeff. He actually owns two Audis. He owns a S5 as well, which I could be driving. But I wanted to drive the A8 for a number of reasons. Firstly, because it's just a glorious, quiet, smooth, lovely luxury car. But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, this is really the last call for this third generation of A8s. Audi stick quite rigidly to their 7-year model cycle. That is, they replace their models almost exactly every 7 years. And this third generation A8 was introduced, I believe, 2009, end of the year 2009. So we're right on 7 years. So we'll be seeing the new A8 in just a few weeks. So you might ask, why am I reviewing an outgoing model? Well, two reasons really. Firstly, even though it's an outgoing model, it's still very competitive within this segment, the large German luxury car segment. It stands up to the S-Class and the 7 Series quite well, and is certainly better than a lot of the other cars within the segment. But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, is that the A8 at the moment is a bargain. And what I mean by that is, if you configure an A8 like this car that I'm driving today, with all the toys that it's got in it, you'll pay just under $90,000 to configure the same car with the same toys, more or less, in a 7 Series or an S-Class. You're well north of 100,000. In fact, closing on 120,000 when it comes to the S-Class. So you're talking about a bargain in the luxury car market. And that's an important thing to consider, because there's one thing that's wrong with driving a big luxury car like this, and that is that you will take a big hit on depreciation. They depreciate like a lemming off a cliff, because people don't want large luxury cars once they're past their warranty, or once they're 4 or 5 years old, because they can be expensive to keep on the road, and people just prefer smaller cars these days. So if the car's a lot less expensive to buy, like this one, then you're going to take a lot less in depreciation. So onto the important stuff, like what's it like to drive? Well, you're probably not going to be surprised when I tell you that it is a comfortable, smooth cruiser. The cabin is so quiet, the engine's got plenty of power, but with these big cars, you just feel a certain stability about them. Even though it's a large car, you still have no trouble winding it through the corners like this. It handles so well. I would compare it quite closely to the Bentley that I drove the other day, which I guess is unsurprising since they're both from the same corporate family, so they probably share a lot of their DNA. The cabin is certainly as quiet as that Bentley, and it's got the massaging seats like that Bentley had. I'm sitting here with the massage rolling up my back. I like it. So someone like me, a middle-aged man, should be quite drawn to a car like this, and I really can see myself in a bigger luxury car like this sometime in the future. I'm going to try and cling to my youth with a 911 for a few more years, but yeah, I could really see myself in one of these one day. They are just such a pleasant vehicle to get around in. This particular A8 has the base model turbocharged 3-litre engine, which in itself is pretty incredible, that the age that we live in, the base model engine produces over 300 horsepower. And even though this is a heavy vehicle, it's not lacking in performance. And you're not buying this as a sports car, you're buying this as a comfortable cruiser. So, the V6 is perfectly acceptable in this car. My boss actually has the V8 model, and while you can certainly feel more torque in the V8 model, I think most people would be perfectly happy with this V6 turbo. This is the same engine that's in the S5s as well, and the S4s. So one thing for sure about these big luxury German cars is that they are just packed full with toys and technology. I think what we're going to see in the next generation A8 is a full LED display like we're seeing in the new Q7 and the A4, and that's certainly what they've done in the new S-Class, and that gives you more functionality within the dashboard. But even in this generation, there are so many toys in this car that it would take me all day to learn all the buttons and what everything does. A few things of interest. One of them is that this car comes with the head-up display. I'm curious as to why when Audi has a head-up display, why Porsche doesn't have a head-up display. Maybe it's just something they decide they're not going to put in Porsches, because not even the latest Panamera has the head-up display. I thought that would be a natural fit to move this head-up display into the Porsches as well, but for some reason, no. Okay, let's stop here and have a quick look around the outside. You know, I describe the looks as understated, which is a good thing. You know, not everybody wants a flashy looking car. This car pretty much slides under the radar. The only change I'd really make are these enormous Audi grills. I've had enough of them. I think Audis make beautiful cars, but these huge grills, I think they can be downsized. But that's just my opinion. Otherwise, you know, this shape was refreshed about 3.5 years ago and still looking pretty sharp. This car has the 20-inch wheels, which I think are a must, and I think are a low-cost option on the A8 at the moment, because the 19s don't look quite right. They don't fill the wells correctly, whereas the 20s are perfect on such a large car. So yeah, that's the outside. You know, nothing remarkable, but that's a good thing. Okay, rolling on to the inside. Always a graceful entry, Nick. You're right back there, Albert. Feeling comfortable? So, what I'd say about the inside is that, well, this car is due for an update. You know, Audi does such a great job of interiors anyway. I've always liked Audi interiors. So even at 7 years into the range, it's still looking pretty modern. Right now, I'd say the S-Class has got the best interior, but, you know, the Audi it's not too shabby. It's pretty nice interior still. I'll give you a quick tour from left to right. Over here on the left is the window buttons and the memory seat buttons. The window buttons also control little sunshades to protect your stuffed toy gorilla from the harmful sun rays. Over here on the dash, I think this is going to be the next big change, is that we'll see this as a big LED display, just like we see in the Q7 and the A4 and the rest, and its competitors. But it's got Audi's signature red and white lights, which I've always liked. The steering wheel is a heated leather steering wheel, always nice layout of buttons and so forth. Over here in the center dash is Button City, and if you're familiar with Audis, you'll have no trouble, but if you're not familiar with Audis, it's going to take you a while to get used to so many buttons in this car. And this is where we run into a few hiccups. You know, the MMI system is starting to look a little dated. It's functional, but you know, this little 6-inch screen doesn't look right in modern cars. They've got bigger screens these days, especially these big luxury cars. But it's functional. But if you look at the nav, for example, I bring up the map, it's definitely 2004, 2005 type map. It's a last generation navigation system. But you know, these days most people use Waze or their phones anyway. But yeah, it would be nice to see them update that. The other thing that is conspicuously missing is there's no Apple CarPlay or the Android system, and there's not even any USB ports in this car. You can jerry-rig a USB port using the Apple adapter, but yeah, for a 2016 luxury car, not to have USB ports, Audi, why do you do this? I'm sure they'll be fixing it in the next generation. Around the rest of the interior, you know, I don't really like the leather. The leather's pretty hard leather, but I haven't really noticed it so much. I've been very comfortable. I find the seats are comfy, and you know, these 18-way supportive seats, and of course I can turn on the massaging, the automatic masseuse. So if I press the masseuse button, and then I've got these options: wave, pulse, stress, lumbar, shoulder. This is the way to drive. So leave it on wave and it can be massaging me up my back. Love it. So yeah, I can forgive slightly hard leather when the seat is massaging me in such a pleasurable way. But otherwise, the interior is very nice. Part of the executive package, of course, is this big sunroof at the back, which lets more light in. But this, of course, being an L edition, which means it's a long wheelbase, means that there's oodles of room in the back seat as well. You comfortable back there, little Albert? You got plenty of leg room? Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of leg room, and there's plenty of toys back there as well. You've got all your climate control and heat seating and cooling and so forth. And there's little mirrors that pop down from the back there as well. So, nice place to be, the Audi interior, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, it's a very comfortable car to drive. And right now, the toys for this car, which is normally where these car manufacturers make their money, are super cheap. And what I'm talking about, here's an example. I've written it down here. The executive package, which is probably the most popular package on this A8 because it's got so much in it. Let me read it out. The Audi side assist, which I guess is the little lights when someone beside you. The panoramic sunroof, which is this extra sunroof at the back here. The electric seat adjustment for both front seats with memory system. The ventilated front seats with massage function. The 20-inch wheels, the rear pass-through, the Audi pre-sensor, whatever that is, the 4-spoke multifunction heated steering wheel with paddles, the heated rear seats, the top view cameras, and the head-up display is normally $6,900 extra, because that's a lot of stuff. Right now, Audi is giving you that for $1,500. All of those toys for $1,500. That is why this car with all these toys in it still comes in at under $90,000 these days. Incredible. So another thing that I like about the A8 is that it's a little understated. You know, if you're not a car person, you probably don't even know that this is a big luxury car. You might take it for an Audi A4 or A6 perhaps. You know, it flies a little bit more under the radar, and a lot of us like that, like to be, you know, a little bit incognito. And the A8 certainly is that within this luxury range. And there's fewer of them on the road. There's far fewer. They don't sell anywhere near as many of the A8 series as they do of the 7 Series BMWs or the S-Class. And that's partly because I think they're a bit later to market. You know, they didn't really start this large range until the mid-90s, whereas, you know, the 7 Series and the S-Class have been around for decades at that point. So Audi always had a lot of catching up to do. But that doesn't mean that it's a lesser car. You know, these are still beautiful cars to drive, and in some ways better than the Mercedes or the BMW competitors. Certainly, Audi's interiors have always been top-notch and often beat the BMW equivalent. The new S-Class, however, is stunning inside, and I think it's probably market leader on the interior at the moment, and certainly market leader on toys. You know, the new S-Class has 1 million toys. But I'll be interested to see what Audi does with the next generation coming up. You know, they're always playing leapfrog to a certain extent with their competitors, and Audi always comes up with some decent technology. But yeah, it is a lovely car. If you're looking for a large German luxury car at a bargain price, this 3rd generation A8 is something to look into. You won't take anywhere near the depreciation hit, and you can have all of this luxury and quiet, smooth driving for a bargain price compared to its competitors. So I wanted to thank my friend Jeff for letting me drive his beautiful car today, and maybe I might even take his S5 for a spin in a future review. But yeah, Albert and I have thoroughly enjoyed driving around in luxury and beautiful Connecticut today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time. Is it just me, or does it look like Albert's just a little bit too happy about being chauffeured around in the back of this car?